Thank you. Good morning. Can you hear me? Thank you. So we're from Eastern Lebanon County Middle School, otherwise known as ELCO. And I'm going to start by introducing our team here. I'm Robin Ann Kimmy, and I'm the District Behavior Specialist at ELCO. This is Lisa Fulton. She's a school counselor in the middle school. Next we have Erin Harris, who is middle school language arts teacher, and Allison Wagner, who is our other school counselor at the middle school. So at the middle school, we have a PBIS team. We are all members of the PBIS team. We also have several other members on the team, including other teachers and both the principal and the assistant principal. And we usually meet twice a month. We meet to discuss and plan. So we're going to tell you a little bit about our incentive program here this morning. Okay, so we're calling this Growing with Pride. Pride is our acronym for our program, and that will, that's better, and that will, we'll discuss that further in our program. So what we want to present today is, are you struggling? We did. We struggled with our incentive program through the first 3 years. This is the third year we are running our program. So we're going to share our journey with you today about how you can learn incentives to grow your program. So our objectives today is we want to share how we utilize data to drive our decisions for our PBIS incentive programs, and for you all to understand how to successfully implement an incentive program. And we're also going to share with you today a variety of programs that we used that we had success and we also did not have success. Okay, so first I'm going to start by giving you a background of our school. So we're located in Lebanon County, which is in the center of Pennsylvania. Myerstown, PA, it's a small town. The cost of living is below the state average. There's an abundance of recreational activities, many different housing options that makes Myerstown the perfect place to raise a family. So I'm going to share a short video with you. There's a lot of things about the school, because our community is really filled with ELCO pride also, and that's also the mission statement of our school district. So enjoy this video about Myerstown.
Our town, rooted in history, established by shared values and hard work, built on community, a purposeful place that's alive today and flourishing, renewed, strengthened. Our residents, neighbors, and friends are looking forward, investing in the future, uniting ourselves, our families, and our community. Because we care, we're preserving what matters most and inviting others to experience the very best of the place we call home. You belong here, so come join us and make Myerstown your own.
Okay. All right. So that was a little bit about Myerstown. We really are a small town. So our vision for our school district is called ELCO Together. You might see other staff members from our district around here today wearing the t-shirts. It's actually a day-to-day that in our district everyone is wearing the t-shirts. One community, one school district, creating learning opportunities for each student every day. And we've incorporated that all into our PBIS program. So our middle school is located, like I said, it's a small town. We're on a campus with our intermediate school, which is grades 3 to 5, and also our high school. And then we have 2 outlying elementary schools that are K to 2. So that's the size of our district. At the middle school, we offer grades 6, 7, and 8. We're not a Title I school, and our enrollment is 600 students. We currently have one principal, well, our principal, we have an interim principal right now, and we have an assistant principal. So this is our breakdown by ethnicity. As you can see, the majority, 93.9% white, and then we have a very small diversion of other races at the school. So economically disadvantaged is 36.8%. English language learners, 0.8%. Special education, almost 16%. Gifted, 3.4%. So our journey begins, so that's a little bit about ELCO. And our journey begins during the summer of 2016 when we started our PBIS Pride program. And I'm going to turn it over now to Lisa Fulton, our school counselor.
Okay, so in the summer of 2016, really our superintendent at that time wanted to implement PBIS at all grade levels. So it was actually not just the middle school that started PBIS, but it was it was elementary schools, the intermediate school, the middle school, and the high school. So what we decided our acronym would be is PRIDE, as Mrs. Kimmy had said earlier. So basically each of the letters stand for our different matrix characteristics that we want students to do to be responsible for their choices each and every day. So our P is positive relationships. So that's focusing on the positive relationships students have with each other as well as the staff in the building. R is respect, so we're looking at respect that they show, again, themselves, other students, and the teachers. The I in everything says it starts with me, so we don't actually have a matrix around I. We do for the P, the R, the D, and the E. The I just is telling them that it starts with them, it starts with you. So everything you do when you come into school, it's all the choices that you're making. D is demonstrate ownership, and E is engaged in learning. So that's how our matrix looks. And as you can see, we have then those around all the different areas in our building. So we do them for the classrooms, the hallways, the stairwells, the cafeteria, the bathrooms, and school-wide events. So we just showed one here just so you could get an example of what it looks like. So for the classroom pride expectations, for positive relationships, we want our students to include everyone, greet everyone, encourage others to do their best, ask for help. The respect is to listen, to raise your hand, to be recognized, to follow directions. Again, the I just starts with me. The demonstrate ownership, stay to your own space, record assignments, respect materials, and keep them organized. And engaged in learning is actively participate in a positive way, complete assignments, and do your best work and be prepared. So those are our posters that you see around the school that has our pride, and then we have those again with our classroom matrix and expectations. So we just sort of wanted to give you some background information as we go into the incentive program so you understand when we're talking about pride and the different expectations, what that means and what it looks like for our school. So before we go into each year and what we've done, we sort of wanted to give you an overview because we have had a lot of changes. So as far as we've changed our incentive program, but we've also just sort of changed the building. So when we first started in the summer, like we said, of 2016, we had a principal and assistant principal. That summer into the fall, we actually had both the principal and assistant principal change. So our assistant principal became the principal, and then we had a new assistant principal. So we had that for year one and year two. At the end of year two, both of our principals and our assistant principal left. We hired a new principal, as you can see at the beginning of year three, which is this year. The assistant principal was not filled when we started our school year. In November, we had a new assistant principal start, but then in February, our principal resigned. So right now, we have an interim principal and our regular assistant principal. So we have had some difficulties along the way, but I think the PBS team, one of our strengths is working together, and I think we've really done a good job of trying to continue to do what we need to do amidst all of the admin changes. So we do have administrative support, but it has been a journey. So we're going to go through each year and sort of show you what we've done as far as our incentive program, the challenges we faced, what worked well, what we needed to change and tweak along the way till we get to the point we're at today, and then moving forward. So our first year, we gave students coins, and they're like those caught you being good coins that you can probably see you've ordered for Oriental training. So students were given those coins by teachers if they demonstrated their expected behaviors. And then we had 3 jars in our main office, one for 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade. And when students students got a coin, they were to come and put it in the main office in their correct grade level. And then after a certain designated time period, we had an incentive. And whatever grade had the most coins in their jar were the ones that got that incentive. So we had like a student versus faculty prison ball tournament. So for the month of October, you know, if 8th grade had the most coins, they were the ones that got the incentive. And during sort of our enrichment study hall time, they got to do a student versus faculty prison ball tournament. We did ice cream at lunch. So all the students in that grade level got to make ice cream sundaes at lunch. We had some that were around specific expectations. So we had one that was around our cafeteria expectations, and they got coins in designated rows based on the row the teacher felt showed those behavior expectations for the cafeteria for that couple weeks we did it. And they actually, those rows got a special lunch. So they got to sit in the center of the cafeteria, they got tablecloths, and the caf served them a special lunch that day. We did a lawn lunch one time, so the grade that had the most coins got to go stay outside and have lunch. We did cookie decorating, so again, the grade that had the most coins for that got to come down during that enrichment time, and they got to decorate cookies. So some were just general coins that were given out. Some, like I said, were focused on a specific expectation. We have iPads. We're a one-to-one school, so one of them was if students had their iPad charged every day. Those homerooms then got coins, and they brought those coins down and put them in the collection jars. So that is what we started with in year one. Some lessons we learned about that. One of the big lessons is that there could have been, since we were doing grade level, there might have been 20% of the students that were really displaying expectations in that grade level and earning the coins, but everybody was actually getting the reward. So that was one of our concerns. The other, I think some of you are reading on, that 8th grade were actually selling their coins to 6th and 7th grade. It really happened. So our 8th graders didn't seem to buy in as much. They really bought in. They actually won the prison ball tournament. I think that was a really big incentive for the 8th graders, but the ice cream wasn't as much, so then they actually were giving them to the 6th and 7th graders. Also, students were hoarding their coins. We're not really sure why. They were like taking them home and keeping like 50 coins in a jar at home, so they weren't turning them in. So for a lot of the reasons, and like I said, and even then if a lot of students were meeting the expectations, only 33%, or a third, a grade level, was actually getting the incentive. So we just felt like that needed to be reworked. We weren't really pleased with how it was running for the year. So you'll see how we sort of changed that in year two. The other thing that we did have in year one was our 200 Pride Club. So this is what we started mid-year because we sort of had seen the coins. We wanted to do something different. We weren't going to change that all mid-year, but we wanted to add something new. So this is when we started with our golden tickets. So we would give students golden tickets, and that they could take those down to the main office when they got a golden ticket. And this was if you achieved above and beyond the normal expectations. So this is if you were exceeding your expectations. So this is like the 200 Club that everybody probably knows and is familiar with doing. And we did it pretty much similar to what a lot of the 200 clubs are, though we had a little tweak on it because we have Plinko, we'll talk about in a second. So if students got a golden ticket, they came to the office, they drew a number, their name and number was displayed on our 200 board that's outside the main office. They put their name and the teacher that gave them in the celebrity book, and then postcards were mailed home. Sort of typical 200 club procedures. But like I said, when we had sort of 10 in a row or bingo, we gave those students a chance to play as Plinko for prizes. Actually, one of our committee members had the Plinko board at home, and we thought this would be a fun way of playing. So you can see our Plinko board. So if students got a 1, they could get a pencil or stickers, erasers, snacks. If they had a 2 or a 3, we had lanyard, we had some crazy pens and stylus, pencil cases and bags. And a 4 or 5, they could get a PBIS t-shirt, a water bottle, they could have some gym time during enrichment, they could have blizzards, and they could have earbuds. The first year at that time, any student that received a golden ticket, whenever that happened and whenever we played Plinko, we also had an additional prize drawing. So if 3 weeks went by and we had a Plinko, everybody that had their golden tickets up to that point were entered into a prize drawing for blizzards or shamrock shakes. And then we also had an end of the year prize. So at the very end of the year, anybody who put their name as a golden ticket in the prizes, we had drawings. We had either a bike or a Kindle or a Fitbit. So you'll see when we go to year 2, some of that changed a bit. We wanted to show you, and then we're going to demonstrate, but these are some students playing Plinko in cafeteria. So now, she got 2, because she had actually gotten 2 on the board that time. So now we are going to give you the opportunity to play Plinko. So we want you somewhere. There are 3 golden tickets under your chair. So if you want to check your chair, if you have a golden ticket, you're going to get the chance to come up and play Plinko. Do we have a winner? We have 1 winner. Do we have 2 more? Come on up. Do we have our second winner? Okay, we got him. Okay, come on up. Come over there. So our winners, if they get a 1, they can get, since we're in Hershey, a Hershey candy bar or a Hershey pencil. If they get a 2 or a 3, they have a bag of candy or a Hershey pen. If they get a 4 and 5, they can get a $5 gift certificate to the store downstairs, so you can go get a treat or some coffee, whatever you choose. So go ahead, first winner.
All right. I'm going to cancel it.
Okay. A 1.
Great. Number 2.
Oh, you could keep it. Thank you. Congratulations to our winners. So we found, and this is one thing you're going to hear through the next 2 years, that we have caps. So we still play Plinko. These pictures are actually from recently, from students that just won a couple weeks ago. So this is something that's really has taken effect and we really have continued to use. So we really did like the individual incentives. Like we said, we've kept that. We like the golden tickets. We did decide that playing Plinko and having drawings at the same time was very overwhelming, so we're not doing that anymore. So when we get a Plinko, we don't have an additional drawing on top of that. So, and then instead of just a year-end prize, we decided to do marking period prizes. So each marking period, there are 3 prizes that we give away, and usually they're valued anywhere from $30 to $50. So this marking period, we have a Yeti water bottle that we're giving away, we have a technology basket, and we have a summer fun basket. So those are the ones that we're going to be giving away for this marking period coming up. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Wagner.
All right, we're going to have to lower this. Okay, so I'm going to be going over year 2. A lot of what is on this page are things that I'll be covering later in the next few slides. We ended those grade level challenges because, as Lisa said, we were struggling with the number of students who were actually displaying the positive behaviors versus those getting the rewards for doing what everyone else was doing. So we started using the PBIS Rewards Program. Some of you may or may not be familiar with that. We're going to open this up. Okay, so let's... Okay, so this is what our rewards app looks like. All staff members have access to a rewards app. And so here, if I wanted to, I could go in and I could search a specific student and then assign them points. The points are based off, you either get 1, 2, or 3 points in each area, and they're based off of our expectations. So we have positive relationships, respect, it starts with me, demonstrating ownership, and engaged in learning. So you can assign points individually to students if you wish. You can also create groups in this app. So if I wanted to have a group, say if I was a classroom teacher and in my period 1 class, I would have them in, I could go in there and I could select which students I wanted to give points to during that period. You can also assign points to a class as a whole. So you will hear about our school store in a little bit, but we have our Elko Pride School Store, and this is where we house our items, and students can go in and look to see what items we have in our school store. By doing that, they log in, they have to see how many points they have, and then they can, during period 9, which again, I will explain our school store, they go to checkout and purchase an item. So that's how students access what they can see. We will talk about the events and how that worked. We are no longer doing monthly events, but I'll explain that. But this is how students would also register for events. So this app really housed a lot of our items and how we transition through our monthly incentives for year 2. So staff did give students points to who demonstrated the expected behaviors, and that's how they utilized our point system. And all points and all of our incentives were housed through that. Each month, students could use their points for the monthly event. Some of our monthly events: lawn lunch, ice cream sundaes, technology at lunch, prison ball, which is just like dodgeball, just a different term, a dance during the school day, a movie during the school day, which you'll see seem to be our most popular event. And we also created a tip sheet, and next you'll see the tip sheet, okay? Sometimes as adults, we feel that we expect students to know what is expected of them, and we're at the middle school level, so that's not always the case. And sometimes as staff members, we forget, what we really should be rewarding these students for. So this was a tip sheet that we gave to our staff members, just as a daily reminder. I know mine's right by my desk, a daily reminder as to how we can be rewarding these students. And again, I know some of them might be obvious, like using your manners. Yes, that might be an obvious thing to display on a daily basis, but we always forget that these students are learning, okay? They're still young. So that was something that we felt was important to provide to our staff members. And also for equal point distribution. Okay, so some lessons we learned through the point system and our monthly incentives. Not all staff were giving out points consistently. Our 6th graders were receiving a lot more points than our 7th and 8th graders. And again, too, that might be, well, these are 8th graders, so we expect them to act this way, as well as our honor students. They seem to be receiving less points than our other, like our college prep level students, because this was their expectation on a regular basis. So we had that difficulty. Students, again, were hoarding points just like they were hoarding coins. They felt that there was some great big monthly incentive at the end of the school year that they needed to save their points for. And so then the events were also very time-consuming for us as staff members as well, just the preparation, registering students. We registered students through that app, and when I pulled up the event page, we registered students through that app. And it was just very time-consuming, making sure we had students registered. And if a student missed a day, they would come back the next day, say, I wasn't here to register. So there was just a lot of things that we found that took up a lot of extra time. Again, some students weren't buying into our events, okay, and that might be grade level appropriate. But also I feel that some of our events were based off of, students participated because there's maybe peer pressure, or like, oh, my friend's not going to do this, so I'm not doing it. Sometimes, of course, it was saving points. Also, some students didn't want to miss class, okay, so that was, which is awesome, but that was something we were struggling with, so we were putting in all this work and with a few students participating. Students and staff were complaining that some students were attending when they had multiple discipline referrals because they could just utilize their points to get in despite the number of discipline referrals they had. And also, if it was an event during the school day, like our movie was, it was almost half a day. Students who weren't doing well in school, I know some staff were disappointed with that. So that's why we started revamping what we were doing with incentives. Again, even though it's pretty simple to go onto your computer or your iPad, again, we're one-to-one to assign points, some staff just felt that it was an additional task to be doing this for them to be able to participate in monthly incentives. So that was another thing we reconsidered, and you'll see that in year 3 as Erin explains. And then again, the number of students benefiting from the reward was increasing, but the rate of reducing referrals was, we weren't reducing referrals like we should have been. So we were getting more students participating, but our referrals weren't reducing, and that's not what we want from PBIS. So we want those referrals to reduce. So here's just some data from our first incentive of the year to our last incentive of the year. So you can see there was some low participation at the beginning of the year. Ice cream Sundays in November seemed to be a little bit better. Everyone's motivated by food. And then the movie was the most popular because, again, like I said, it was halfway through pretty much halfway the school day. So a lot of students really wanted to participate in that. And then again, the lawn lunch did increase by the end of the year by 20%, but still we weren't seeing the turnout that we wanted. We really want like 80-90% participation, and we weren't getting that. Okay, so year 2, we put out our school store that started in April. This was a way to start to get students to utilize their points, because again, they were hoarding their points, so we were trying to really push them utilizing their points. So we started the school store, and they could use your points in the rewards app, just like I had showed you during their enrichment, which was our study hall period. They would go to the school store and purchase items. Our club students, which you'll hear more about, helped to pick the items for the school store. They did the inventory. They took the pictures that you saw on our school store, and they identified how much each item would be. And they also assist in helping to run the school store. Okay, so some lessons learned from the school store. Our 6th graders, of course, were very excited about the school store. Again, they're more that primary level, so these small tangible items were very exciting to them. A lot of items were bought with points that were hoarded all year, so they cleaned us out pretty quickly, but that was a good thing. That's what we wanted, and this was well received by staff and students, and you'll see that's something we've continued. Okay, so our golden ticket, which some of you have found on the bottom of your chairs. So most of it stayed the same from first year to second year. But our changes, we designed this golden ticket from Vistaprint. They're just business cards, and they're really cheap. So just a little tidbit for you if that's something you want to do. Our marking period prizes, instead of the year-long prizes, so every time we got a Plinko, student put their name into a basket. And then every marking period, a name was drawn from the basket. So that was then our winner, versus the end of the year prizes where we did the bike or the Fitbit. So we have to do 3 prizes every marking period, and about $50 each for each prize. Again, we have movie baskets, game baskets, sports baskets, school supplies, summer baskets, Yeti cup, book baskets, Elko gear, a Bluetooth speaker. Some of these prizes we waited to see who won, because our book basket, we didn't want to buy a bunch of books that someone wouldn't like or wouldn't care to read. So some of them we could get ahead of time, others we waited to get feedback from the student. All of these prizes are also student-driven too. So our club students decided what would be prizes that their peers would want. Let's see here, okay. Oh, and also too, the prior year, we gave a certain number of golden tickets to staff members for a certain time period. This year, staff members had unlimited golden prize tickets. So that increased the number of times we played Plinko, which was a good thing, and we were seeing more students doing more good things, which was something that we felt was a positive. So while the staff liked our prizes, there was no money to give prizes. And the PBIS committee members spent their own money for prizes. So each time a staff member gave a student a Plinko card, that staff member's name went on the back. And then the staff member, if that student won Plinko, that staff member was also receiving a prize. So it might have been a $5 gift card. It might have been Panera bagels one morning, or a breakfast, or just some sort of a little incentive. I think we also did class coverage. You can leave 30 minutes early for the day, something like that. Just simple things we've kind of turned to, but there were items that we were spending our own money on because we're unable to provide staff members prizes with our PBIS club money. But the staff and the students do really like our golden tickets and playing Plinko, and as well as our marking period prizes versus our end of the year prize.
Good morning again, everyone. My name is Erin Harris, and I'm one of the LA teachers at the Elko Middle School. I'm also the advisor to the PBIS student club that was being referenced earlier. So our club typically meets, depending on our enrichment day cycles, like our study hall tends to meet about once or twice a week. During that class period, we have about 15 students, and to be able to be in the club at the beginning of, well, I should say at the end of last school year, they had to fill out an application. And then my co-advisor and I went through the applications, and we were able to decide which students would be joining us for the club. Besides meeting during our study hall or enrichment days, we also have weekly clubs on a Friday morning. And every other week, so about twice a month, we're also able to meet with our club during that club period time. So I'm going to be focusing on year 3, and the major thing that occurred in year 3 was the 1-1-1 challenge. And this whole idea we actually were able to get from last year's PBIS conference by one of the presenters. And what was really cool about the presentation we attended last year is that particular school district's club students are who came up with the 1-1-1 challenge concept. So this ended up taking the place of the monthly PBIS points incentives we had mentioned before. Like we said, for various reasons, it was very time consuming and whatnot. So the 1-1-1 challenge allowed us to just focus on having an event each marking period. So having a total of 4 challenge events held for our students. And the other thing with the 1-1-1 challenge is that it would allow us to reward more students without having to register based on their points. So the way that students were able to show that they met the challenge was that they could attend if they did not have more than 1 major discipline report that went through the office, 1 unexcused absence to school, or 1 tardy to school for that particular marking period. So if a particular student did not meet the challenge because they did not meet one of the 3 criteria, they would be able to possibly meet the challenge for the quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4. So it wasn't a once and done thing. If it happened in the beginning of the year, they weren't like blacklisted for the rest of the school year to not be able to attend those events. And it also helped us to kind of create that connection between the importance of showing pride while you were at school, but also just coming to school. And promoting the idea that showing pride, our acronym, also meant attending school regularly and on time and trying to do your best once you were actually there. So the events that we've used this year for the 1-1-1 challenge, we used the ice cream sundaes at lunch, and I will say that is still probably one that takes a decent amount of time. We had our club students scoop all the ice cream the day before. The cafeteria was kind enough to let us store everything there, and then we kind of create an assembly line. We have donated toppings for the sundaes, and then we just have the kids kind of go down the line, and we're able to reward them that way. The movie during school, we have a forum within our building, kind of like an auditorium. So we're only able to house a certain number of students there. We can't have all 3 grades in the forum at the same time, so we had to work a different schedule for that day to be able to show the movie, but that's one thing that the students really seem to enjoy. And then our latest 111 challenge for quarter 3 was an Anything Goes assembly. So for this particular assembly, my club students pretty much arranged the entire thing. They researched Minute to Win It games, so we were able to have videos to kind of demonstrate to the rest of the student body how to play the games. They also came up with the outline for an obstacle course, so we were able to set that up using different equipment that we got from our phys ed teachers, and we were able to set that up in the gym. And then for our last 111 challenge for this school year for quarter 4, we'll be having this on the 24th, I believe, and that will be a lawn lunch. So our plan is to allow the students to eat their lunches outside, and then we'll have some different activities like lawn games, kickball, have music playing, or they can just kind of sit out there and hang out with their friends. So based on the data we have, it stayed pretty much the same from first, second to third marking period. So we're right around that 82 to 84% range for students who have been able to meet the challenge. And then these are just the graphs to show you that same data. So here's a picture from the obstacle course that we had, part of the obstacle course. It was set up in a student relay style race, so this is just one of our students going through the obstacle course. And the way that students were able to be chosen to participate in the obstacle course, we realized that some students, the idea of getting up in front of their peers and playing a Minute to Win It game or participating in an obstacle course might be terrifying for them. So they had the option to, when they walked to the gym, depending on the entrance they went in, that determined if they would put their ticket in the yes, I want to have my name pulled to participate, or no, I just want to be able to sit and watch and enjoy. For the school store, this was something that Ms. Wagner had mentioned earlier. The school store is completely run by our club, and then Ms. Fulton, she typically orders items after we take inventory and let her know what items we need to be purchasing. But our students, for the most part, run the club, or run the school store, I should say. And with the school store, we just ordered one of those drawer carts, like the rainbow color drawer carts off of Amazon, and we just put all of our different items in the drawers. Our students created little badges to be able to put the amount of points that each item was worth, as well as pictures on the drawers, so that way as students are coming up to the school store, they're able to see kind of what they're able to purchase. But then they can also look at the app that was shown earlier to be able to see what items we currently have in stock and how many points they'll need to be able to purchase those items. For year 3, the school store is the only thing that students are allowed to use their points for. So it made it, I think, a lot easier for students to understand where the points were going to go towards. They didn't have to constantly be questioning, like, oh, well, can I use this at the school store? Is this going to be for one of the like monthly incentives? What am I using these for? So now that they know it's just specifically for the school store, it seems to be working a little bit more smoothly. And again, for students to be able to earn those points, they can either receive a ticket like this one. It's a yellow ticket. And typically what teachers do is they circle whatever letter of pride the student was demonstrating. Students are supposed to put their names on. And this year, the club students, we had them decorate containers for every teacher to have based on like a likes list that the teachers gave us at the beginning of the year. And then teachers, if they wanted to use these yellow tickets, they could just throw those in the containers. But if they preferred to use the web-based app, they could still enter their points that way as well. With the school store, we did have the issue of 8th graders not really being so much interested in some of the items that we had. So we did try to bring in some items that they were a little bit more interested in, which you'll see on the next slide. But again, the 6th graders and even the 7th graders still seem to be very much interested in what they were able to buy at the school store. And we run the school store about once a month, again, during our study hall, during our enrichment period at the end of the day. And typically what my co-advisor and I I do is we pick a week for that particular month, and then we look to see which days each grade will have free. So we have band and chorus, which meet during our study hall as well, so we need to work out and make sure, okay, the 6th grade day isn't a day when they should be at band or chorus, because obviously they shouldn't be going out of that to be able to go to the school store. So here's a slide of some of the items that we have in our school store, and these are some of the particular items that seem to help us gain more interest from our 8th graders. Now, as I'm sure you can imagine, some of these items could get a little bit distracting for students when they go purchase it and then take it back to study hall. So we did need to make sure that our students understood just because you bought it at the school store doesn't necessarily mean it's a free-for-all now to use however you wish. So they did have to make sure that they were still showing pride expectations while they were using the items that they bought. So in case you're wondering what some of these are, this is a mesh spiky ball. It lights up when they hit it off of something or squeeze it. For some reason, the kazoos that were in the middle, the kids were wild about the kazoos. No idea why. Up in the upper right-hand corner, those were emoji stress balls. With the candy, anything food-related, that was what the kids wanted. Then down below, we have earbuds, and then we also have yo-yos, in this case, hamburger yo-yos. Now, what we also tried to do with the amount of points that each of these items were worth is we tried to base them off of how much their cost was in the real world. So on this next slide, this, if it's large enough for you guys to see, this shows you the amount of points that some of these items were worth. So for example, earbuds were probably one of the most expensive items for us to order and have in the school store, so that's why they were 100 points that students could purchase. And they were one of our most expensive items in the school store as well. But some other things that we had, the kids are all about the emojis, so we have the emoji erasers, the $100 bill eraser, just to have some school supplies like lead pencils, the refills, the sports pencils, and then we also, just in these two categories, we also had a bunch of different school spirit items. So we had an Elko Pride clapper that we had specially made, so that's why that's worth a little bit more, but our cheapest items are 20 points. So you can see kind of a mix of some of the things that we had. So moving on, this is just showing you between year 1 and year 2, sort of like the student buy-in for using the school store. We went from 61% to 72%. So not a huge jump, but obviously showing an increase in students wanting to participate with the school store and wanting to buy items that we had for them to purchase. Another thing that we decided to do for year 3 was an overall points challenge. We had based this off of the amount of total points that had been awarded based on last school year. So they were basically challenged to earn more points than the previous school year. Last year, our students earned a total of 140,476 points. So we tried to be overachievers a little bit at the beginning of the year, and we set a goal for 175,000 points for this school year. We did want to create a halfway point approximately, so when the students would reach 87,500 points, they were going to be able to tape teachers to the wall at lunch. We have these columns in our cafeteria, and don't worry, there was a stool there to start until we had enough tape for this particular teacher, but students could buy pieces of tape with their PBIS points. And then depending on how many points they gave, that determined either how many pieces or how long their piece was to be able to use to wrap up the teacher. And then the plan, if we are able to get to this, I don't know if we'll get to this point or not for our field day, if the students reach 175,000 points, there will be a staff dunk tank. So I'm sure they'll be looking forward to that if they're able to reach that goal. Now, when we did the taping of the teachers to the columns at lunch, we were only at 87,500 points at that time, and it was already in March. So it's definitely something that we can continue to strive for as we continue into the next school year. So for year 3 with the 200 Pride Club, again, this is something that we continued to have from the very beginning. Everything pretty much remained the same except for staff prizes. Like we mentioned earlier, we didn't have a whole lot of money to be able to use toward staff prizes. So we decided to change from monetary prizes to stars on the door that Robin Ann had you created those, right? Yeah, that Robin had created, and that was just a nice little reminder for teachers, you know, like keep up the good work that you're doing, keep rewarding students for those pride expectations that they're showing. And then we would do quarterly drawings for things like class coverage, leaving 30 minutes early, or a special parking spot. So those were the staff incentives to kind of take place of the monetary options. And many of the staff members seemed to be fairly interested and enthusiastic about these items. So it was nice to see that even though it wasn't a monetary gift, they were still appreciative of what we were able to do. So I'll turn it over to Robin Ann at this point.
Thank you. So with all the things that we've done throughout the 3 years, we've also had some challenges with discipline referrals and reducing them, and that was one reason that we looked at our incentive data and tried to fix that and improve the number of students that are involved in the incentives. So as you can see, we've had a slight increase, but this is a problem that we're still struggling with here at Elko, and we're really working hard this year. We are meeting, let me go to the next slide. So we're, our goals moving forward is that we're all meeting actually as a team next week. We got a day off for school to meet as a team and start to coordinate everything for the fall. So we're starting to show some positive growth in the behavioral data. And one thing that doesn't show on the slides that we looked at is students that had challenges with over 10 referrals that were 7th graders moving into 8th grade. We noticed a 25 to 28% decline in those referrals. So some of the things we're doing at Tier 2 right now are, we have started some of those programs, and they're very effective right now. So our current plan is to continue with the 111 challenge, the PBIS 200 Club, and the school store. We're looking to incorporate this year into monthly themes based on character, based on positive traits. We already have some things lined out, and we're also looking to unite all student clubs under the PBIS umbrella. We have a lot of active student clubs in our school, such as Student Council, and a lot of people do different activities, and sometimes we think those activities might be confusing as to who's sponsoring them. So we're looking to unite everybody, and Avidum's also another club, so we're looking to unite us all under one umbrella and work together as an organization to promote activities that will benefit all of us. Okay? So we're very excited about moving forward actually here next year. So that's all. So if you want to contact us, we would be more than happy to send you any information, send you golden tickets, send you any of the data that we have. You can reach all of us here. This is our emails. And does anybody have any questions? Oh, yes.
Where did your money come from to buy the prizes?
Okay, she had asked, where does our money come from for our incentive prizes? Would you like to answer that? Yeah.
So the money for, the money for our incentive prizes and everything, one of our major fundraisers was a dance that the club students and I organized at the beginning of the school year. Do you guys remember how much? It was over $1,000. And at the dance, we were able to not only get money from students being able to pay to get into the dance, but also we had a snack stand. middle schoolers love soda and junk food, so they were definitely interested in that. And also to kind of amp up our supply of tissues for our school building, if they brought a box of tissues, that decreased their amount to pay to get in the dance by $1. So instead of $3, they only paid $2.
We also have some money budgeted, so every year we budget money for our PBIS program. So that pays for the PBIS incentive program, the online app, because that is a cost that pays for our Swiss, where we keep our data, and then whatever money we have left, we use for that, for prizes and things too. So we do have budgeted money. Other questions? Yes. Okay, her question was, what do we do with students that don't meet the monthly or marking period challenges on the 1-1-1 challenge? We usually have them go to an assigned room or study hall. Now for the movie happened during the day, so they went to a different room and they did work, any type of makeup work or things they'd have to do. During the ice cream sundaes, they just didn't get their ice cream sundaes. Like for the lawn lunch, they won't go outside for lunch, they'll stay inside for lunch. So it depended on what the incentive was. If it was incentive where the entire building was going somewhere, they had another assigned location to go. Yes. Either one. Who wants to go first? Go ahead.
What staff were in charge of covering classrooms?
What staff were in charge of covering classrooms? We had a schedule, so like if these 10 staff went and covered the movie, these 10 staff went and did the rooms. Like we had an assignment list. So the principal came up with, who was doing what. So everybody had an assignment of where they needed to be. Another question? The question was, when they get their 200 club ticket, do they go directly to the office? Yes. Now, if it's right in the middle of instruction, we tell them to go between classes, like they don't get up and leave right in the middle of class. But no, they can go anytime, so they just go in between classes. Yes, our secretaries are in the office, and they, have them write down and take care of all of that. We have some wonderful administrative assistants in the main office, and they send the postcards home too. They keep track of that and send the postcards home.
I just want to add also, our administration is also very, very supportive of our program at the middle school.
More questions? Yes. No, for the 1-1-1 club, she said, do you have to just get one? Yes, you can, like if you have 2 major falls, then you don't qualify. If you have 2 tardies to school, you don't qualify. It doesn't have to be 2 of both, 2 of anything. Yes. Question, yes. I can't hear.
He asked the question that was
That's what I think someone had asked that question, like if they don't meet the challenge, it depended on the challenge. So if it was ice cream sundaes at lunch, they didn't get their ice cream sundaes. Or lawn lunch, they're not going to go out. But the actual events, like the movie, they had an assigned room to go to. Yes? Oh, the very beginning? Like our pride poster?
There it is.
Yeah, okay, she asked about where these posters are made. We got these done the very first summer to prepare for year 1. And you can see down there our Elko Education Foundation paid for the posters. So every classroom has one of these posters. Every room that has one of the expectations has that as well. So like our classes will have this, as well as a poster that shows this. Our bathrooms will have this poster. So they're everywhere. Oh, how we inform parents. We have a newsletter that goes home. So I think the other question was how we inform parents. We sent a print newsletter, and now we have an email, a s'more newsletter that goes home once a marking period to our parents. Any other questions? Oh, one more? Yes, so she was asking about extra support staff, yes. Everybody, they get golden tickets that they can hand out as well. How do we train them? Mrs. Kimmy did a training. And then we have our faculty meetings where we train them as well. And we also train our new staff coming in. Any other questions? I know we're standing between you and lunch, so, and I think we have a code to give out as well, but we will stay up here, so if you have an individual question, you want to come up and ask any of us, you're more than welcome to do that.
Thank you.